Hi everyone, welcome to the 8th lecture of Ansible series, and in this lecture we will try to focus more towards Playbook, Ansible Playbook. Before starting the concept of Playbook, just wanted to cover up an important topic regards to the idempotency of modules. If you remember in my last lecture, I told modules are idempotent in nature, which means if package is already available on the managed node, then controller engine will skip the installation or file update or whatever kind of operation you are trying to do which is already available on the managed node, it will skip that particular part. So how that is happening, how checks are happening, what exactly Ansible is sending out to the managed node to check or validate whether package is already available or not, that is happening via module called setup. So whenever you try to run a command, a module command, let's say installation of httpd, then controller engine will first send the setup module on all the managed node via SSH connection or WinRM as part of the Windows. Then what setup module is doing? Setup module is checking whether my HTTPD Apache server is installed on this particular server or not, on the managed node or not. If it is already available, I'm not going to do anything. That's what setup module is doing and sending out a signal to Ansible master engine. If package is not available, let's install that package on that particular server. So that's what Ansible setup module is all about. And this is one of an interview question as well, where interviewer can ask you question, right? How this is happening. So for example, if I'm sending an HTTPD module or sending a command, install an HTTPD on my managed node, but it is already available. So whether it will be going to overwrite or not. So when you are sending with the help of module, it will not, because these are idempotent in nature. And first it send out a setup module to all the managed node to check and validate whether package is already available or not, which is not the case with ad hoc commands. Ad hoc commands generally overwrite the package installation. So this is what I wanted to cover up, an important topic regarding to the module. Moving to the main agenda of this lecture, playbooks. Ansible Playbook is very important factor when it comes to Ansible perspective, because most of the organization, if they are using Ansible, they are also using Playbook, because Playbook help us to write an automation with the help of Ansible. Why Playbook is so much important is because it offers a lot of different functionality. It offers a repeatable, reusable, simple config management, multi-machine deployment system, which is well suited for deploying a complex application. One of the important factor that I want to tell you with Playbook, when you write a playbook, it follows a YAML format, which requires a minimal syntax, right? You don't have to worry much on the syntax side. You just have to follow certain standard, and then you will be able to write a playbook, right? Now, consider playbook as a combination of more than one module. So we already had a discussion on ad hoc command, which is a one-liner Linux commands. We already had a discussion on modules, a deep discussion on modules, right? Where if you want to perform, let's say, multiple actions through module, like uptime, listing of the files, long listing of the files, installing Apache, restarting Apache. So those set of operations, we can combine all that particular task as an action, insert it into playbook, and playbook will do the job for you. Like one particular text file, or let's say YAML file, not a text file, a YAML file, a book will have all the instructions written, make it more modular, and you can perform all different set of operations on multiple Ansible managed node. That's what playbook is all about. Much more reusable, very easy to use. Now, if you need to perform a task or execute a task with Ansible more than once, write a playbook, put it under source control. Obviously, if you are a DevOps guy, then most of the code has to be checked in into your source control. It can be GitHub, it can be Bitbucket, it can be GitLab, or whichever you guys are using it. Then you can use playbook to push out to the new configuration or confirm the configuration on the remote machine. So again, whatever operation we had performed in our previous lecture, we can perform everything with the help of playbook, but in a more modular way, more combined way. So playbook is just like a file where you write a code consisting of variables, tasks, handlers, roles, and templates. So everything can be written in one particular file. That's what playbook is. And these are human readable data serialization language, which is basically a YAML, right? So you just have to do certain set of line, like certain set of code, like a configuration file. You don't, for example, system administrators, they sit on their desk and do the system administration. They do this some sort of configuration management, right? So they write a file and they complete that file to manage all the system from one place. That's what Ansible is all about, right? Now, playbooks can be having a declare configuration. You can orchestrate steps of any manual order process or multiple set of machines in a defined order, launch a task synchronously or asynchronously. So that's what playbook in general is all about. Now, if I talk about the major sections of playbook, and I will show you in later section of this lecture that what exactly sections are. So majority of sections in playbook are defined in this way. You will have a target section where you define the host, the inventory, whether you want to perform something on the web server, whether you want to perform something on the database server, right? Then we have a variable section. Variable is very important because to make things modularize, you have to define a variable. As an example, let's say you have to install httpd on hundreds of server, then you can just write yum install httpd, right? It will install everything related to Apache on all the managed node. But what if I don't want to install httpd? As an example, today I have installed httpd, but tomorrow I want to remove that and install some other web server, as an example, right? So in that case, instead of writing yum install httpd, I have to write or edit that particular httpd from everywhere. Instead of that, we define a variable, let's say package name is equal to httpd, and then use that variable into my tasks section where we have to execute, or basically we have to send a instruction that you have to perform this. So use variable in that particular section, which makes it more modularized. So you have to change everything at one place, instead you have to change at hundreds of places. So that's what variables are. And the next one is tasks. Basically this section is where list of modules that needs to run in an order. So for example, when I say in an order, you have installed Apache and then you have to run Apache as well, which means you have to start it. So obviously that order has to be maintained because you cannot start Apache before installing it. So that's what ordering of task or module means over here. So I hope this clears a lot in terms of the concept of playbook, right? Also, playbooks are also idempotent in nature, just like modules. So before writing Ansible playbook, just wanted to give you a glimpse of understanding what exactly YAML is, yet another markup language. This is very simple, guys. A non-techie can also write a YAML playbook. You just have to follow a few things and you will be able to understand Ansible related playbook as well. Now, YAML works in a key value pair, which is commonly known as dictionary. Start with dash 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 and end with dot dot dot. This part is not mandatory in your file, but this part is mandatory. Without this, you will get a syntax error. So YAML is that much not restrictive as compared to the other languages, but you have to just follow certain standard like the indentation. Like over here, all members in the list line must follow the same indentation. What does that mean? So as you can see, I'm tracking an employee record. Started the file with dot dot, not dot dot, dash dash dash, then pound sign and employee record. This part can be written as anything because this is a comment section. So as per your understanding, you can write whatever you want to write over here. Now I'm doing name as Martin, job, developer, skill, elite, employed, true, right? Now This is what key value pair is. Key is name, value is Martin. Key is job, value is developer. Key is skill, value is elite, then employed and true. Then we have foods, apple, oranges, strawberry, mango. Then we have languages, right? So this part is called list, right? This is not a dictionary. Dictionary works in a key value pair, which is this part. This part is a list, right? Within food, we have different set of list written over here. Again, we have language. This is what we have called dictionary, a key value pair. Key is Perl, value is elite. Key is Python, value is elite. Key is Pascal, value is lame. So that's what YAML is all about. It's a basic understanding. Now, what indentation means? So if you're starting this name, job, whatever the key value pair is, it has to be in same line. You cannot divert from this line. Within the food, within the list, yes, again, you're following the same particular line. You're not diverting it. So whatever value or whatever key you are writing it over here, it has to be in same line, right? That's what, if you are not using the same line, then you will get a syntax error within YAML. I know this is a weird, not a weird, this is a language, right? They have written this language in this way. So you initially you will face a lot of issues while doing the indentation. If you don't follow it, you will get a lot of error, because I have seen a lot of people do this kind of mistake while doing cloud formation, while doing any other YAML based automation as well. So just try to follow these few simple concepts and you will be able to write the YAML playbook. Okay. So I hope this clears a lot in terms of the basics of YAML. I'm not trying to teach you YAML. I'm just giving you basics of what YAML looks like. And this is what on which we will be going to write a playbook. Okay. Now, this is our first playbook that we will be going to write. Every playbook which you write will end up with an extension with .yml. That's what Ansible Playbook extensions are. Now, here I have done some mistake which I need to fix. You don't have to use dash with this, which I did a mistake over here. So I'm just rectifying it real quick. Okay, let me have the pen. Now, this is my first playbook. First playbook.yml. That's the extension of your Ansible playbook. I've started with what? Dash, 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 then the pound sign, my first playbook. What you have to do within while writing an Ansible playbook, this is what we called as target section. So if you remember, I talked about we have certain major sections within playbook and we will be going to discuss one by one. So the first playbook, I'm just trying to gather a fact. So what exactly you have to write? So you have to give obviously the host on which you have to perform an action. This is what we called as a web server. So if you remember of my previous lecture, I have an inventory group called web server. So I'm using a web server. You can also write the server IP address, FQDN, specific server. So I'm using, it's better to use a group so that you can list out multiple servers at one go. Which user? Ansible admin user. So I'm not going to use any root user. Since start, we are using Ansible admin user, which is having a sudo privileges. Become is for gaining a sudo access. I'm giving yes. Connection over SSH because I'm using CentOS system, a Linux based system. Gathering fact, yes. So gathering fact is basically give me all the information related to the IP address of all my server listed in the web server group. Now, how you are writing a playbook over here? So you have start with these three lines, these three dash 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 and the pound sign, your message of the file book. Then you have to start with one dash host and no space between host and the colon sign. After colon, there is a space. So that's the syntax that we have to follow. Host, colon, then we have space, then whatever the web server is. And then you have to follow the same indentation, same line over here. Then user colon, which user you are trying to use. It can be Abhishek, it can be Rahul, or whichever user you have created it, right? Become, then colon, yes, connection, colon, space, yes, gather facts, colon, space, yes. And how you write up or how you run a playbook, there is a command called Ansible dash playbook and call your first playbook.yaml or whatever the name of your YAML file is. Now let me stop this. Discard. Now this is my Ansible controller engine. As you can see, all my system is up and running. So first of all, we will try to write a playbook. Let me check something. Do we have something? No, it's only one folder, so I'm not going to bother about that. Let's create our first file, which is, and again, file name, it's totally depend upon you. I'm just using a generic name. vi first playbook.yml. Enter. Shift I for insertion. Then use dash 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 pound sign or hash my first playbook. Enter. Then use, again, from where you have started this dash, you have to use dash again, then one space. Playbook in Ansible doesn't work on tab. You have to use space. Then host colon space. I'm using inventory web server group. Okay, enter, then space, one more space. Here you have to write what? Then obviously connection colon SSH. Now this part, it's not necessary to follow the same indentation. It's just the first part of it. Again, enter, connection. After that, then become for sudo privilege. Yes, I want a sudo privilege. Then again, the last part is what? User Ansible admin. Perfect. Then last one is gather underscore facts. Yes. So my playbook is completed. Now if I go to my presentation, as you can see, my playbook is completed, right? Save this file, wq exclamation enter. Now we have our one file. Now if I run Ansible playbook, then call your first playbook, enter. Let's see. Okay, so what things we are getting it over here? We are getting a play on web server group, which is my coming from my inventory file, the host file. Task, I am gathering a fact, basically all the IP addresses into my coming from my web server group. And then OK is equal to 1 because it has performed that operation. Change, we haven't changed anything. Unreachable, if it is, so for example, if my server is not reachable, then it will change the count from 0 to 1. Let's say my server is stopped, then it will show unreachable. Then failed. So for example, if my gathered fact particular action that I'm performing, if it is not able to perform that task on the server, then it will show you fail. Skipped, in terms of mostly, let's say if already package is available, then it will skip it. You can also rescue, you can also ignore. Okay, so that's our first playbook. Let's go back to our presentation. Okay, this is our second playbook. Now in our second playbook, again I have made a mistake over here, so let me fix it real quick. And sorry for making such a blunder over here. Okay, perfect. Now let's go back to presentation mode. So in our second playbook, again, I'm using the same stuff over here. My second playbook, dash, 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 pound sign, second playbook. Then this section is same, whatever we have done in our first playbook. In this section, I'm creating a task. So again, remember, go back to the first part where I said major sections of playbook: target, task, variable, right? So the first playbook, this first part is what we have called target. Then we are into task where the actions has to be performed. Now in this playbook, what I am doing: name, install httpd on web server. Now this name, again, it's an argument, can be anything based upon your understanding. So it is not like you have to only give install httpd on web server. No, it can be English language as per your basic understanding. Important part is action. Again, this is not there, this should not be there. Action, then colon, yum, name is equal to httpd, state is equal to present. So going back to the module section, if you remember, when we had to install something, we have to use state is equal to present or installed. Then yum is a package, name, what kind of package I want to install, which is httpd. So that's what our second playbook, consisting of target and task. So let's try to do the practical again. Let's go back to our terminal. Now I'm going to create another playbook, sudo, then vi second playbook dot YAML. Perfect. Now again, dash shift I dash 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 pound sign my second playbook, right? Then host web server, sorry, web server, then user, that will be Ansible admin, then sorry, okay, then we have to become sudo, gain the sudo privilege, yes. I can just like do a copy paste as well, but it's better to write so that you guys can also write to understand, to get a better practice, right? Okay, become this, then we have an SSH connection, then gather facts, yes, I'm using same thing, I'm also gathering facts, and then I'm going to use task, not y task, it's task. Okay, enter. Now this again, I hit the tab, but it doesn't work on tab, you will get an error. So go over here, type name, there will be a space over here, name, again install httpd on web server. Let me give a space over here, enter, action, yum, then install, not install, yum, then we have name is equal to httpd, state is equal to present. Here we go, our playbook is ready. So if I show you my this particular section, I'm just doing same thing, yum, name is equal to httpd, state, present, right? Let's save this file. Perfect. Ansible Playbook second YAML file. Let's see. So obviously it's running on my web server, then that's the gathered fact. Okay, so change is equal to 1, okay is equal to 2, because we are performing two set of operation. One is gathering fact and second one is installing httpd. That's why change is equal to 1 is coming it over here. Okay, let me try if I have the IP address over here or not. Should be able to connect. Yes. Sudo su. This is the same server on which we have installed. Which httpd. Yes, it's already running. Not running, it's installed. So if I do systemctl status httpd, you have to start it because we just have installed, right? So that's what. Now, if you edit the same file, now if you run this same file again, let's see what it will going to show us. Enter. Again gathering the fact and okay is equal to 2, but you see this change is equal to 0 because my Ansible is my httpd, the Apache package is already installed on my web server. So that's why okay is equal to 2 and change is equal to 0. Okay, which means these are idempotent as well. Perfect. How this is sending up a command? Through setup command, setup module basically. Perfect. Let's go to our, now let me do one more thing. Let me edit that file. I just want to uninstall my Apache. So for that, state is equal to absent or removed. Remember it. One sec. Absent. Save it. Run. Perfect. Gathered fact and should be changed equal to 1. Now if I go over here and run status, we don't have httpd service. Let's go back to our presentation. So I hope this clears for the target section and the task section. So let's start our presentation again. Let me have my pen selected. This is our third playbook, and in this playbook we are also doing the same stuff, installing Apache on our web server. Okay, but this is a bit different than the second playbook. Here we are introducing variable section. Now in this variable section, it's always better to make your script more modularized. Instead of calling the command directly to the action part, just introduce a variable, and instead of let's say updating your command every time, you just have to update your variable at one place and you're done, right? Now this playbook is consisting of three sections. This section, you know, this is a target section. This section you also know, which is a task. And before that, we are implementing a variable over here. Now remember guys, this is has to be work in an order because you cannot define a variable after task. Variable has to be defined before task, right? Because just logically, think logically, if you run task before variable, then it will look for a variable called package name and it will not be going to find anything over there. So that's why variable has to be defined before task in a particular order. So target, variable, and then task. Okay, so let's go back to our Ansible controller engine again, and we'll create another playbook. Sudo, then this should be third playbook.yml. Perfect. Shift I, and now I'm going to actually copy paste the entire section just to check if my syntax is correct or not. So I will show you if anything is not correct over here, it will throw us an error. Obviously we do see some error like copy paste error over here, some extra characters. Let me remove that. Okay, not double quotes, it has to be single quotes. So these are the syntax of Ansible, so we have to follow that, right? Now started with again dash 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 third playbook, then host, web server, and everything is same. Was, then package name, httpd, task. Again, this can be anything. Within action, you have to give name equals to single quote, then it has to be double curly braces, then we have to give package name, whatever we are calling it over here, you have to give that, you have to call that, and state is equal to present. Let's save it. Okay, now we are going to run Ansible Playbook, call the third playbook, enter. As you can see, we have an error, the indentation error. Offending line appears to be task hyphen name install. Here is some error. So again, let's go back to our YAML section. As you can see, we have an error. Within action, it has to be just action, not any kind of dash. Let's save it again. Run. Here we go. Gathering a fact is working. Installing HTTPD on web server. OK is equal to 2, and we have HTTPD. Now I'm onto the web server. If I do run this, I'm getting, yes, your Apache is there, but it is not in running state. Again, if you run the same playbook for idempotency, because now we have introduced a third component called variable in our playbook, will that nature will be reflective or not? Let's do and check. Here we go. We have OK is equal to 2 and changed equal to 0, which means it's already installed. I'm not going to do anything else, but I'm going to remove my package because there will be another playbook that I'm going to write, and we will be going to install Apache one more time. Okay, let's give. Now instead of absent, I'm going to use removed. Okay, perfect. Run this. Gathering fact, yes, I'm getting that fact, and changed equal to 1. Run this system status. That is done. It's removed. So now I hope this clears a lot in terms of Ansible Playbook, how you can introduce the target section, how you can play around with the variable, then task. So these are the major section that you have to do, right, with while writing a playbook. Now, running a playbook, you know the command now, the extension that needs to be saved with the file, which is YAML. You have to follow the indentation for writing a playbook, otherwise you will get an error. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation again. Next important topic I want to discuss is handlers within Ansible Playbook. So handlers are quite similar to task. Only difference is it is executed only when called by another task. What does that by mean? So let's take an example. You are installing an Apache. Obviously, after installing an Apache, you have to start Apache as well. Then only it is meaningful to install Apache. So that's where the work of handler come into picture. Another pointer for handlers, like they get executed when other task contains a notified directive and also indicates something changed, right? So if I show you the playbook over here, we are doing the same stuff. We are installing an Apache with a target section on which server, what user, sudo privileges, SSH connection, and gathering a fact. You can also remove gathering fact, that is not required. I'm just using it as an example to perform a multiple task. Then the same variable which we use in our third playbook. After that, task, install httpd, action, package name. Till here, everything is same. I have added something called notify start httpd and added a handler over here. In handler, I'm using name. So whatever name you are giving in the notify part, start httpd, you have to use the same name in the handler section. Otherwise, it will not get notified or understand what exactly you are trying to do, and ultimately your playbook execution will fail. In the action, I'm calling service name is equal to httpd state is equal to started, which means what I am doing, I am first installing an Apache and then I'm notifying my handler, hey, my Apache is already installed now, you have to start it. That's what handler is all about. Similar to task, but it requires some sort of notification to perform. A notification has to be given by the other task that is already performed. Now, understand in a clear way, guys, don't get confused. You cannot use handler before task because you cannot start a service before installing a service. That's a basic logic, right? So don't get confused with that. So in the order wise, we have to define a target, then a variable, then a task, then handler. The notification part has to be done by the task to handler. So let's perform this playbook as well, which is our fourth playbook. So let me create another playbook, sudo vi fourth fourth playbook.yml, enter. Now again starting with 3 dash 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 hash, which is a pound sign, my fourth playbook, enter. Then dash host, perfect, which is web server. After that, again you have to give user, which is Ansible admin, perfect. Then we have connection, which is SSH. Then we have become, I want to become a sudo user, then yes. Then I'm gathering a fact, gather facts, yes. Then we have target is defined, then we have to define variable, which is vars, again not tab, it has to be space. Now in variable I'm defining pkg name, which is package name, httpd, perfect, enter. Then variable is defined, then we have to do task, perfect, space. Now here what we have to do, name, install httpd, just like that. Then we have actions, which is yum name equals to, then braces, pkg name, close the braces, curly braces, this state is equals to present. This part is done. Then we have to notify, right? Notify to the handler that start httpd, perfect. Now the fourth part actually is handlers. Okay, I might do some mistake over here, let's see. So in handler, what I have to do, let me check my presentation again. Let me copy, sorry. These two has to be in same indentation. Name, then I have used over there in notify as start httpd, then actions, okay. Here I have to use service name equals to httpd and state is equals to started. Playbook is done. Let's do Ansible Playbook and then obviously call the fourth playbook. Let's see. Gathering a fact, that worked fine. Then installing an Apache, that also worked fine. Now running the handler, that means it got notified. And now here you see changed is equal to 2, which means my Apache should be running over here. So if I do system status, as you can see, Apache is running, which means our playbook is working fine. The logic is working fine. The notify section is also working. So that's what handler is all about. So the last important pointer just I want to cover up as part of this lecture is like how you can check the syntax of your playbook. So before running the playbook, you have written a playbook, and now before executing it, you want to do a validation of your playbook, whether there is a syntax error or any other error. Then you can use this command Ansible Playbook, call your playbook, and then syntax check. Let me show you that as well. So that's my playbook syntax. Sorry, that's my bad. Syntax check. Come on. So this will show you that your playbook, whether your playbook is having some issue or not. So it's not giving any issue, but let me create some issue with my playbook, right? Enter, and let me have this. Perfect. Let's run syntax check. As you can see, we were unable to read the file JSON nor YAML. These are error that we get from this, right? And you can see we are having an error over here. So let me modify that file again. Let me have this removed. Perfect. Run the syntax check. So after modifying our playbook, we don't have any syntax issue. That's how we check the syntax of our playbook before executing it. Another important interview question. Now, I hope this clears in lot in terms of the concept of your playbook, how to write a playbook, how to follow the indentation, what are the important sections that has to be performed in terms of order in playbook. And these are the important components, guys, that you will be going to interact while writing the Ansible automation with the help of playbook. So now it's your turn to write a playbook, play around with your Ansible automation, do a lot of practical. Otherwise, your concept will not get clear until unless you do practical. Place out a comment in comment section if you're facing any issue. I'll be there to help you, and see you in next lecture. Have a nice day. Bye bye.